Do you look in the mirror and see someone you no longer recognize? After years of helping people who experience this anxiety that comes out of nowhere, this worry that keeps them awake for no apparent reason, I discovered something that changes everything. There's a gentle, natural path that works like a hug for the soul, and it could be right there in your kitchen. You know that feeling that something has changed after you turn 60? That your heart races for no reason, that your thoughts race even when everything is fine. That discouragement creeps in quietly and takes over your day. You're not imagining things. You're not exaggerating. And most importantly, you're not alone on this journey. What I've discovered, observing hundreds of people from our generation, is that ancient wisdom is being confirmed by modern science. Our grandparents already knew that food heals, that nature has answers, that there's real power in simple, everyday choices. They just couldn't explain why it worked. Today, neuroscience reveals how certain foods communicate directly with our nervous system, how they nourish the neurotransmitters responsible for feelings of well-being, and how they create a solid foundation for our minds to find the natural balance we've lost along the way. One patient told me that after incorporating these foods into her routine, for the first time in years, she was able to watch the news without feeling that tightness in her chest. Another told me how she found pleasure in preparing lunch for her family again, how she rediscovered her zest for life through flavors she already knew, but which now had a greater purpose. I'm not talking about restrictive diets or radical changes. I'm not promising miracles. I'm sharing 5 specific foods you probably have at home that your parents and grandparents ate naturally, and that science now proves are true natural remedies for our restless minds. If you feel this anxiety for no reason, if discouragement has been stealing the color from your days, if you want a natural alternative that respects your life experience and wisdom, today your life will take on a new direction, not through empty promises, but through real, applicable knowledge that works precisely because it honors both science and the wisdom of our ancestors. Press yes. If you also feel lost amidst so much information about anxiety, but still believe there is a gentler, more natural way to find your inner peace. The most remarkable transformation I witnessed occurred with a 68-year-old woman who arrived at my office carrying a bag of medications. She told me that she woke up every morning with her heart racing, that she had lost the joy of cooking for her grandchildren, and that she avoided leaving the house because any unexpected event would send her into panic. 6 months later, she returned with a cake recipe in hand and her eyes shining. No medication had stopped, but something fundamental had changed. She rediscovered that her own home held healing treasures, that her kitchen could be her natural pharmacy, that years of culinary experience concealed true therapeutic wisdom. This transformation wasn't unique. I've seen people sleep peacefully again after decades of anxious insomnia. Families reunited around the table because their loved one once again enjoyed sharing meals. Grandparents rediscovered the joy of teaching their grandchildren recipes, discovering they were passing on much more than just cooking. What moves me most is realizing how these changes reclaim something profound in our identity. I remember when people of our generation had a more intimate relationship with food, when they instinctively knew that chamomile tea calmed, that honey and cinnamon warmed the heart, that certain aromas brought immediate comfort. We didn't lose this wisdom by chance. We live in a time when everything needed to be fast, processed, and practical. We forget that our great-grandparents treated melancholy with herbs, that our grandmothers knew exactly what food to prepare when someone was distressed, that there was a natural pharmacy operating in every Brazilian home. Neuroscience today confirms what they practiced intuitively. We've discovered that certain dietary compounds act directly on the neurotransmitters responsible for feelings of calm, that some specific nutrients nourish the areas of the brain that regulate our emotions, that there's a real communication between our gut and our mind, and that we can positively influence this dialogue. But it's not just about brain chemistry. It's about reconnecting with our own history, with practices that connect us to the earth, to natural cycles, to the ancestral wisdom that runs through our veins. It's about discovering that managing anxiety can be an act of self-love, of reclaiming our identity, of valuing our experience. Each person I accompany on this journey teaches me something new about resilience, about adaptability, about the beauty of discovering simple solutions to complex problems. They show me that our generation has an advantage. We know the value of real things. We know how to distinguish what works from what's just a fad. That's why I want to share with you not just information, but a path back home. A return to what has always worked, now explained by science, validated by experience, and adapted to our current reality. Because you deserve to live your next years with serenity, with pleasure, with the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have real, natural tools at your fingertips. One situation that struck me involved a patient who came in reporting that she had completely lost the joy of preparing meals. She described how the mere thought of entering the kitchen triggered her anxiety, as if each ingredient were a reminder that something was wrong in her life. It was then that we discovered together the extraordinary power of oats. Oats are much more than just a breakfast cereal. They're a true natural regulator of the nervous system, a food our generation knows well, but whose specific therapeutic powers you may never have fully understood. Neuroscience reveals that oats contain unique compounds that directly affect the production of serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for feelings of well-being and tranquility. The secret lies in beta-glucans, special fibers that create a slow and steady release of energy, preventing the spikes and drops in blood sugar that can trigger anxiety episodes. But there's something even more fascinating. Oats contain tryptophan, the amino acid precursor to serotonin, in a form that our bodies can utilize exceptionally well after age 60. When we regularly include oats in our diet, we're providing our brain with the building blocks it needs to naturally produce the compounds that make us feel calm and balanced. It's as if we're directly feeding the neural circuits responsible for serenity, the ability to face the day with tranquility. The way you prepare oatmeal also enhances its therapeutic effects. When cooked slowly over low heat with a little cinnamon, it releases aromas that trigger positive memories and create an immediate feeling of comfort. It's no coincidence that our grandmothers would make oatmeal when someone in the family was going through a difficult time. One surprising discovery was how the creamy texture of cooked oats has its own psychological effect. Foods with a smooth, creamy texture activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for relaxation and smooth digestion. That's why we instinctively reach for soups and porridges when we're feeling vulnerable. To enhance the effects of oats on anxiety, combine them with ingredients that amplify their properties. A spoonful of honey adds extra tryptophan and offers gradual absorption of energy. A few drops of vanilla create an aroma that immediately signals comfort to our brain. A pinch of cinnamon improves blood sugar regulation and adds anti-inflammatory properties. Timing is also important. Eating oats for breakfast creates a solid foundation of serenity for the entire day. The cereal provides sustained energy that prevents anxiety caused by hunger or low blood sugar. In the late afternoon, warm oatmeal can be the perfect ritual to slow down and prepare the body for a restful night. The patient I mentioned at the beginning discovered that preparing her morning oatmeal became a moment of active meditation. She told me how the simple act of stirring the porridge, smelling the cinnamon, and creating something nourishing for herself became a self-care ritual that started her days with purpose and tranquility. There's something deeply comforting in knowing that a food so simple, so familiar, so present in our dietary history, carries within it the power to calm our restless minds. Oats aren't just food, they're ancient medicine validated by modern science, connecting us to practices that nourish both body and soul. If you want to try this first natural ally against anxiety, start tomorrow. Prepare your oatmeal with care, chew slowly, and allow yourself to feel the comfort it offers. Within a week, you'll begin to notice how something so simple can create significant changes in your sense of well-being. Let us know in the comments how many people you know who could benefit from this information about oats. Sometimes the simplest solution is exactly what someone close to you needs to hear. Block 4, Main Element 2, 700 words. The specific application I developed over the years observing people of our generation led me to understand the extraordinary power of walnuts, not only as a source of energy, but as a true natural medicine to calm an anxious mind. What makes these little seeds so special goes far beyond what you might imagine. Walnuts contain the highest concentration of plant-based omega-3s of any natural food. These fatty acids are essential for optimal brain function, especially after age 60, when our natural production of neurotransmitters may decline. The omega-3s in walnuts act as a natural lubricant for neural circuits, facilitating communication between the neurons responsible for emotional regulation. But there's an even more fascinating discovery. Walnuts contain natural melatonin, the hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle. For those who suffer from nighttime anxiety, those thoughts that race in the wee hours, consuming a few walnuts in the late afternoon could be the key to more peaceful and restful nights. The magnesium in walnuts acts directly on the brain's GABA receptors, the same ones that anti-anxiety medications aim to activate, but in a completely natural way and without side effects. It's as if nature had created the perfect sedative, packaged in a hard shell that protects its active ingredients. A patient told me how she instinctively discovered that eating 3 walnuts before stressful situations, such as doctor's appointments or important family gatherings, helped her stay calm. Unbeknownst to her, she was applying a protocol that neuroscience now fully validates. The proteins and healthy fats in walnuts stabilize blood sugar, preventing anxiety spikes caused by glycemic fluctuations. The texture of nuts also has a unique therapeutic effect. The act of chewing something crunchy activates serotonin production and acts as a natural release for pent-up tension. Our ancestors intuitively knew this when they offered chestnuts and walnuts during celebrations or when someone needed comfort. To enhance the effects of walnuts, combine them with other complementary ingredients. A spoonful of honey enhances tryptophan absorption. A few drops of rosewater create an aroma that immediately signals relaxation to the limbic system. A pinch of sea salt improves nerve impulse conduction. The ideal time to consume walnuts is about 2 hours before situations that typically trigger anxiety. This allows the nutrients to be absorbed and begin acting on the nervous system exactly when you need them most. For generalized anxiety, consuming 2 to 3 walnuts in the morning creates a foundation of emotional stability that lasts throughout the day. There's a special way to prepare walnuts that further enhances their effects. Soak them for a few hours, peel off the brown skin, and consume them while still moist. This process activates enzymes that facilitate digestion and nutrient absorption, in addition to making the texture smoother and more pleasant for those with digestive sensitivities. One discovery that caught my attention was how people who included walnuts in their routine reported improvements, not only in anxiety, but also in sleep quality, concentration, and overall sense of well-being. This is because walnuts nourish the brain comprehensively, not only treating symptoms, but also strengthening the natural capacity for emotional self-regulation. The most beautiful thing about this discovery is realizing that something so simple, so accessible, so present in our dietary tradition carries within itself the power to transform our relationship with anxiety. Nuts are not just food. They are small therapeutic treasures that nature offers so we can live with greater serenity and balance. Over the years of observing how different temperaments respond to natural anxiety coping strategies, I've developed a unique understanding of the transformative power of dark chocolate. I'm not talking about the sweet chocolate of childhood, but the kind with at least 70% cocoa, which carries extraordinary therapeutic compounds validated by modern neuroscience. Pure cocoa contains anandamide, a substance our own brain produces that scientists call the happiness molecule. When we consume quality dark chocolate, we are literally providing our brain with the ingredients to manufacture its own feel-good compounds. It's as if we are replenishing a natural supply that may have been depleted by the accumulated stress of years. Even more fascinating is the discovery that dark chocolate contains phenylethylamine, the same compound our brains release when we feel in love or deeply satisfied. For our generation, which may have lost some of that youthful zest for life, consuming dark chocolate can be a way to recapture feelings of pleasure and enthusiasm that seemed forgotten. The magnesium in cocoa acts as a natural muscle relaxant and helps regulate heart rate, two areas where anxiety often manifests physically after age 60. One patient told me that after including 2 squares of dark chocolate in her nighttime routine, she stopped waking up with her heart racing, something that had bothered her for years. Theobromine, another unique compound in cocoa, offers a gentle, prolonged boost, completely unlike the buzz caffeine can cause. It's an energy that calms rather than accelerates, that awakens without causing anxiety, that energizes while maintaining serenity. Perfect for those who want to feel alert yet calm. There's a special ritual for consuming dark chocolate that enhances all its therapeutic effects. Allow the square to slowly melt on your tongue, savor each flavor note, and breathe deeply as the aroma of cocoa fills your senses. This process activates the parasympathetic nervous system and transforms consumption into a moment of active meditation. Timing is key to maximizing the benefits. Consuming dark chocolate about an hour after lunch can prevent the afternoon energy slump that often accompanies anxiety. At night, 2 squares can create the ideal state of relaxation for a smooth transition to restful sleep. For those with sugar restrictions, dark chocolate is perfect because its low sugar concentration doesn't cause the glycemic spikes that can trigger anxiety episodes. The initial bitterness may be surprising, but our palates quickly adapt, and we soon begin to appreciate the complexity and richness of cocoa's natural flavors. An exciting discovery was realizing how dark chocolate can become an anchor for mindful pleasure. Unlike eating out of impulse or anxiety, when we savor dark chocolate mindfully, we are creating a sacred moment of self-care, a deliberate pause in the hustle and bustle of the day to nourish our soul along with our body. Interestingly, the more we consume dark chocolate consciously, the less we need other forms of emotional compensation through food. It satisfies both the palate and the emotional need for comfort, creating a lasting sense of well-being that reduces cravings for processed sweets or other foods that can worsen anxiety. If you've made it this far, it's because you truly want to transform your relationship with anxiety in a natural and pleasurable way. People like you, who seek solutions based on wisdom and science, form a special community. Subscribe to the channel to receive more insights into how our generation can live with greater serenity, enjoying the best that nature and science have to offer. I remember when people of our generation had sacred times for afternoon tea, when each family had its own special herbs stored in glass jars, when the aroma of chamomile in the kitchen meant someone needed care and support. Back then, we didn't need scientific studies to know that certain plants soothed the soul. Our grandmothers prepared lemon balm tea when their grandchildren were restless, offered chamomile when someone couldn't sleep, and instinctively knew that nature held healing secrets that no laboratory could fully replicate. They carried a wisdom that connected care with love, medicine with ritual, healing with presence. What we've lost isn't just the recipes, but the understanding that managing anxiety can be an act of reconnecting with our roots, with practices that honor both our family history and our current need for inner peace. When we return to valuing these simple rituals, we're reclaiming not only our health, but also a more humane and loving way of living. The difference is that today, we can combine this ancient wisdom with scientific knowledge, creating even more effective approaches for our generation. We can honor the past while embracing discoveries that enhance results. Share with someone in our generation who also misses the tranquility we once had. Sometimes we need to remind each other that there are ways back home. We've reached the last 2 foods that complete this natural pharmacy against anxiety, and both carry a special history of connection with our Brazilian family tradition. The first is the banana, a fruit found in practically every home in our country and known to our generation forever. Bananas contain a unique combination of tryptophan, potassium, and vitamin B6 that work together to regulate both the nervous system and mood. Tryptophan converts to serotonin, potassium relaxes muscles tense from anxiety, and vitamin B6 optimizes the production of feel-good neurotransmitters. A patient told me she rediscovered the pleasure of eating mashed banana with cinnamon, just as her mother had prepared it when she was a child. Unbeknownst to her, she was creating a perfect combination, as cinnamon enhances the absorption of the banana's nutrients and adds properties that stabilize blood sugar. The most touching thing was realizing how this simple ritual reconnected her with fond memories that brought peace to her anxious heart. The creamy texture of a ripe banana has a unique psychological effect, activating the parasympathetic nervous system and creating an immediate feeling of comfort. For those suffering from digestive anxiety, bananas are especially beneficial because they protect the stomach lining and provide easily digestible energy. The 5th and final food is sunflower seeds, small nutritional treasures you might never have considered as allies against anxiety. These seeds contain an exceptional concentration of magnesium, the mineral most deficient in anxious people, as well as tryptophan and B vitamins in ideal proportions for emotional balance. The magnesium in sunflower seeds acts as a natural sedative, relaxing both muscles and the nervous system. A fascinating discovery is that chewing sunflower seeds activates serotonin production through repetitive jaw movements, creating an effect similar to active meditation or mindfulness practices. There's a special way to consume these seeds that enhances their effects. Lightly toast them in a pan with a pinch of sea salt. The heat activates their essential oils, the salt improves mineral absorption, and the aroma created has aromatherapeutic properties that immediately signal relaxation to the brain. One patient developed the habit of keeping a small jar of roasted sunflower seeds in her purse for moments of sudden anxiety. She told me that the simple act of eating a few seeds, chewing slowly, and paying attention to the flavor became her favorite technique for interrupting anxious thought spirals anywhere. What moves me most about this nutritional journey is realizing how each of these foods carries not only therapeutic properties, but also the possibility of reconnecting with ancestral self-care practices. When we choose to nourish our anxiety with oats, walnuts, dark chocolate, bananas, and sunflower seeds, we are honoring both modern science and the wisdom our ancestors instinctively carried. These 5 foods work best when integrated naturally into your routine, not as an obligation, but as conscious moments of self-care. They can be consumed alone or combined, respecting your palate and specific needs. The important thing is to create a loving relationship with the process of nourishing yourself, transforming each meal into an opportunity to nurture your inner peace. Think of the person you love most who would be proud to see you take care of yourself so naturally and wisely. Comment using this format, choosing the food that resonates most with you. Oatmeal for my daughter Maria, or dark chocolate for my grandson Jerome, or sunflower seeds for my sister Anna. When we have a greater purpose, our determination to take care of ourselves multiplies, and your comment may inspire others to start too. We've reached the end of this journey of discovery, but we're actually at the beginning of a new way of relating to anxiety and self-care. You now know 5 powerful allies that nature offers, 5 foods that can transform your days into calmer, more balanced experiences. Oats that soothe from the first spoonful, walnuts that protect your nervous system, dark chocolate that restores the joy of life, banana that reconnects you with nourishing emotional memories, and sunflower seeds that offer chewable serenity. Each of them carries centuries of ancient wisdom validated by the most modern science. But the most important thing isn't just the food itself, it's the shift in perspective it represents. You no longer need to feel trapped by unfounded anxiety or discouragement that saps the color from your days. There's a gentle, natural path that respects your life experience and honors your quest for well-being. Always remember that you deserve to live your next years with serenity, that your anxiety has a solution, and that small changes can lead to big transformations. Every time you choose one of these foods, you're choosing to care for yourself with love and wisdom. Our journey doesn't end here. If this video brought hope to your heart, please leave a like so others in our generation can also find this valuable information. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive more insights on how to live peacefully after 60. Share this knowledge with that loved one who also deserves to discover that there's a natural path to inner peace. And don't forget to comment on which food most piqued your curiosity. Watch the next video where I'll reveal 3 breathing techniques specific to our generation that enhance the effects of these foods. Your anxious mind deserves all the tools available to find the balance you so desperately seek. Until our next meeting, take care of yourself and remember, you are not alone on this journey.